Hello, welcome to Where Do We Begin? I'm former Melbourne Victory player. I'm Gui Finkler. I'm speaking from Brazil. We had a good conversation about my career, how I ended up playing in Australia, my time in Melbourne Victory also. So feel welcome to listen our conversation. Thank you very much.
Thanks for that, Guy, and hello, and welcome to a brand new episode of Where Do We Begin? My name is Harper. My co-host is Lockie. But Lockie's not here. It's a bit weird, it's a bit sad, if I'm honest. Usually Lockie's on my computer screen on Zoom. We do the intro, outro together, we ping off each other like that. You know, you guys have heard the show before. It's really good, really fun. But at the moment, we've got boring old me, just me in the studio staring at my computer screen all by myself. And anyway, we probably should push on. I interviewed Gui Finkler last week by myself again, just me and Gui having the time of our lives. He's a great guy. He introduced himself at the start of the show, of course. Melbourne Victory legend of the biggest football club in Australia, not wanting to offend any potential actually fully wanting to offend any Sydney FC fans out there. Of course, I'm just joking, guys. But anyway, I was a big fan of Gui. He was probably an idol of mine. We get onto it in the show, but he was an absolute idol of mine when I was a bit of a wee tacker, going to Victory games, AAMI Park. It was great. But talk a bit about the show. Gui Finkler, of course, amazing Victory career. We speak about that, of course. That probably takes up the majority of the show, but we talk about his really interesting time in Brazil. Of course, he's living in Brazil now. Spent most of his life in Brazil. He's a Brazilian, if you haven't realised that yet. He had a really interesting career in Brazil. Trips to Europe as well. Played for a team that's now in the Premier League. Yeah, he was at the club, which was really interesting. But I'm waffling on a bit here. Probably should get into the show. I really hope you enjoy it. I did myself. So yeah, enjoy, guys. So, as we mentioned before, Lockie's not on the show, and that's not the only reason that this episode is a different one, because also our guest comes to us from Brazil, and I've got to say, everyone playing football in primary school back in the day, everyone had that player that they pretended to be out in the schoolyard. Some people were Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, whoever it may be, but me, being the massive Victory fan massive Melbourne Victory fan I pretended to be Gui Finkler out in the schoolyard, and I am delighted to say and super excited to say that we have that exact man on the show today. So welcome to the show, Gui Finkler.
Oh, thank you very much. It's very nice to hear that. You know, we never know who wants to be, and it's nice to hear that. It means a lot. You know, even though I know I wasn't the biggest player, but it's pretty pleasure to hear that.
Oh yeah, no, it's a pleasure having you on the show. Like I said before, because you were an absolute idol of mine when you were at Melbourne Victory. But of course, you're not in Melbourne anymore. You're in Brazil. So tell us, what's life been like in the past 3 or 4 years, or however long you've been back there for?
Yeah, as soon as I moved back from Wellington, I came back to Brazil, and it's been good. You know, it's been a lot of time spending with family and friends. That I spent nearly 6 years in Australia and New Zealand also. So it's been good. Apart from the time we're living right now, this pandemic situation, it's been really tough. You know, not seeing everyone, not doing whatever you want to do. So it's been tough, I think, for everyone around the world. And but apart from that, it's been good. You know, I had a great time in Australia, and now it's back in Brazil. And like I always said in any interview I do, we never know if I would go back to Australia or not. You know, it's my second home. I feel home in Melbourne, so it's a special time. I've been through there, and it's been good now being back in Brazil also.
Yeah, well, I can say that hundreds or thousands even of Melbourne Victory fans and Wellington fans even would love to have you back in Australia, New Zealand, wherever it may be, because you're a legend to us, mate. But I believe Cassius de Sul, we were talking about, forgive my pronunciation if I stuffed it up there. But
no, that's good. It's been very good.
Cassius de Sul, that's where you're at the moment. And it's a bit of a mountainous area, I believe. People have this kind of vision of Brazil being all the beaches and stuff, I guess, like other people have of Australia. But it's not really like that, is it, where you are?
No, where I live, it's nearly 1,000 meters from the sea. So it's the weather here, it's more likely Melbourne, you know. We are hitting the autumn here and the temperature is going down already. You know, we don't hit more 28, 29 or 30 degrees. It's nearly max, maybe 22, 23, and that's it, you know. And from now on, we're gonna go low and low. And it's not the way I like it, but you know, it's the way it is, you know. So yeah, it's a nice city, you know. It's where I'm born, so I feel like it's good here. But you know, having family and friends, it's good also.
Yeah, it sounds like a great place to be. But I for one, I'll just freely admit, I don't really know anything about Brazilian culture, especially Caxias do Sul. I probably didn't even know it existed until I found out about you. But can you tell me what life was like as a teenager growing up there? I know your dad was a professional footballer, so can you tell me what's a typical day in the life of a 14-year-old Gui Finkler like?
Oh, look, man, it's I started when I was 5 years old playing football, so it means my growing up was football and school, and that's it. You know, I had nothing to do anything apart from that. You know, I used to play soccer in front of my house on the street, my parents' house now. So we used to set up 2 goals on the street, and I was talking about that, I think 2-3 weeks ago with a friend that used to live there also. We are pretty annoyed when the cars went through our pitch, you know. We say you should go turn right in the next one. No, not here. You know, we are playing football here. So it used to be like that. And it's school in the morning and soccer after lunch until it gets dark. Until we couldn't see the ball anymore, we still try to play. So it was pretty much there. I have 10 or 11 friends near the house, and everyone loves to play football. So that was it at school and football all the time.
Yeah, and I believe you didn't pick up actual football for a club until you're about 14. You were playing futsal before then. I actually play that over here in Australia. It's a great sport. People think it's pretty much the same as football, but it's very different, very technical, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty much like same and different at the same time, you know. But I was really pleased that I started on futsal. You know, you learn so many skills that you couldn't learn on the pitch. So it's very different, and I tried to play both at the same time when I was 12. And to be honest, I didn't like play soccer because I touched the ball maybe 3-4 times on the game, and futsal you touch the ball every time. So I said to my dad, I said, look, I don't want to play soccer. I want to play futsal my whole time. And he says, look, the future you might be better on soccer, but it's up to you. So then one coach moved to the soccer. That was my futsal coach, and he said, Gui, come to me. I'll help you out to learn and everything else. And then I did this move. I wasn't happy in the beginning, but then after that, I just love it, and I didn't want to go back futsal anymore. And then from now on, I play soccer then.
Yeah, and you were at the academy of I forgive the pronunciation again, but Juventude in Brazil, which is one of the top tier teams. So did you feel a bit of pressure being 14, 15-year-old, being at the academy of a pretty big club?
Yeah, look, when I was at the academy over there, they were in the first division. They spent, I think, 13 years at that time I was there the whole time in the first division. So it was pretty nice to be there, as there was a pressure like everywhere else in Brazil. But at the same time, you could see some big players playing next to you, and sometimes when you had lucky, you could join them for training. And one training session with them, that was so good. You could learn everything, a lot of stuff, like being next to them, some big players. That was good, man. That was a place that every kid wants to be. So you should feel the pressure, but at the same time, like, enjoy yourself. Like I said, for the kids, it's a job, but at the same time, you need to enjoy and just feel happy to be there.
Yeah, and I think that's something that really came across throughout your whole career at Melbourne Victory, at least, and Wellington, from what I saw of you. But were you always a midfielder growing up right through your career?
Yeah, I it's a funny thing, just I played my whole career as a number 10, and I love that position. I think every coach feels like I was the number 10, and I just did my whole career. I moved forward when I played in Lithuania, my last club, because the coach said, I think you can play close to the goal. You can score some goals. I said, okay, that's fair enough. But apart from there, I played as a number 10 my whole career.
And because you were always you were quite tall for an attacking midfielder, so that it's a bit kind of out of the mold of a typical attacking midfielder, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, it is, but you can beat some tall players like I was, but yeah, the position just came along with the coach. The way I used to play when I was in futsal, he said, "Look, I think you should play here," and he was guiding me all the way, like until I found my own position, and that was the one that he showed me in the first day.
Yeah, well, you clearly had a lot of success throughout your career, winning all the trophies you did in the A-League, playing that position. So it's good that you kind of stuck with it. But something that I'm really interested in, I know in Australia, in the A-League, you're probably fully aware of this as well, there's a bit of an opinion in Australian culture and amongst the population that the Australian League is not really worth watching because it doesn't have the big players like the Premier League or La Liga or the Bundesliga. So why would we watch that crap? Is it similar in Brazil? Because I know pretty much all the best players go to Europe when they reach their level required to go to Europe. So is there a big opinion amongst the Brazilian people that the league isn't really good enough?
Not really, man.
Okay.
I think Brazil is a bit different. If you talk to my dad, he doesn't even know that the Champions League is on. He just loved to watch Brazilian soccer. But that it's one person. But to be honest, a lot of people like to watch Brazilian league. But I wouldn't say they won't watch the other leagues, because I do also. I like to watch other leagues, some good players. But to be honest, at the moment in Brazil, we have some big names. They moved to Europe, they didn't do well, they come back and they feel like home here, and they just love to be in Brazil. Some players don't get used to live overseas. I know a lot of friends that moved to Asia, to Europe or to Middle East, and they said, I don't feel like I'm good here, so they come back. But Australia, the league is growing. What I can say, since I moved there, the league grew so much, from first year, the way we are right now. I think the league improved a lot, in all the aspects, like players, the way they play, the competitive, it's really good. You can see Central Coast now is leading the league this year, and now I'm not playing anymore. So I think it's good for the league. Like when I was there was only like 2-3 clubs could league the top, and this year Central Coast is doing pretty well.
Yeah, it's great. And unfortunately for us, Melbourne Victory not doing too well, but it is good to see any team can beat anyone, really. And like the table's pretty much flipped from what you'd usually expect. But talking about those European leagues compared to the Brazilian leagues, of course, you growing up playing for your local team at the academy and a few games in the seniors as well in the first team. Did you have aspirations to move to Europe after a few years in the Brazilian league? Like when you'd hit your best, did you want to go to Europe?
Yeah, and yes. I wouldn't lie to you. I think every kid here wants to move to Europe. They see those leagues, Champions League. Everyone is. I think the dream is to play in Champions League. I think. It's a championship that the kids dream of, and I wasn't different. Just like doing well here, I moved to Europe, and play for those big clubs that the leagues you mentioned before. That was a dream, like for all the kids that when I was playing in the academy.
Yeah, and after a while, you did get a move to Europe. I read an article on this recently. But I might have the name wrong here. Paul Berry, you did an interview with him fairly recently. You were at Wolves for a bit. Wolverhampton, of course, Premier League team now. They were a championship team back then. So how did that come about?
Yeah, look, that was a funny story. If you read the interview, they'll see what happened, how I ended up at Wolves. There was something just came to me, and I couldn't say no. For even though it was a trial, but I was in pretty good form at the moment, so I went there, and that was a very good experience for me. Like being in Europe first time, there was a lot of information. I didn't speak any English. Like I couldn't go to the supermarket to buy anything. I need help for everything. So I was good on the pitch, but that was it. Like I couldn't communicate with anyone. That was like a struggling time for me, but at the same time that was a good learning curve for me also. So I didn't end up finish the way I want to at Wolves, but I still think that was a good learning for me, even though I didn't play over there.
Yeah, and like you said, speaking no English, first time going overseas to play football, that's just crazy. And I don't know how I would keep sane doing that. Like you must have felt pretty alone at some stages, I'm guessing. So how did you yourself keep sane and kind of, not go crazy?
Yeah, it's a dream you want to, and you just follow me, just you forget about all the other stuff, how hard it's gonna be, and you just go for it. That's how I did, It was a dream coming true to go to Europe, to play in Europe. So I didn't even realize how difficult it would be, but I just did, There was a timing I wanted to come back to Brazil. Yeah, there was, but I keep saying to myself, that's your dream. You just keep going, trying, working hard, try to learn English. But apart from that, was pretty good.
Yeah, and of course, Wolves have got a massive Brazilian and Portuguese-speaking contingent in their squad now. And you were the first Brazilian signing ever for Wolves, so that's pretty cool, isn't it? Even though you didn't get on the path for the senior team, that's pretty cool. Yeah,
that was good. We had some big names playing with us at that time also. So that was like I said, I tried to learn every training session. And used to say for us, every time you come here to the training ground, you need to learn at least 0.001%. That was good. You need to learn something, the language, the way you touch the ball, whatever. You need to learn, and I was trying to do that all the time. And about the English, I have a friend here in London that I made when I played Wolves, and you guys have the main language English speaks. I wouldn't say it's easy, but wherever you go, people try to speak English.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I speak Portuguese. Wherever I go, nobody wants to speak Portuguese. So it's different, you know, for us.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just like I'm so lucky that I live in a country where the English is the first language because, like you said, wherever you go, people just see you and they just start speaking English. You don't even get a chance to try to speak the local language. They just start speaking to you English. It's very lucky. But what I'm interested in, the championship, of course, level below the Premier League, for those who don't know, not too familiar with it, but what was the level like compared to the Brazilian top tier?
Oh, look, the championship when I was there was very competitive. Just the style they play is very different from Brazil. Very, very different. You know, just when I was there, just like mostly I remember was long balls, you know, like you play the long ball, you fight for the second one and then start the game. And Brazil is very different, you know. Here is more like technique, you know, the game is slower here. Over there, everyone is really, really fast, you know. So that's my style in the championship. I would say it's hard to fit in, you know, just the way I play. I'm not like fast player. So it was hard for me in this side also, you know, just my style didn't really fit the way the championship play. So it's just long balls, like try to fight for the second one and just keep going like that. So it's a very different style from Brazil. But the level, it's pretty good, to be honest. The players, the competitive of the teams is very good.
And Mick McCarthy's 4-4-2 that doesn't really suit an attacking number 10 like you, does it? It must be pretty frustrating, kind of trying to break into the side where there isn't really a position that you're suited to.
Yeah. So when he came in, I play a few friendly matches. Like he used to play 4-4-1-1. So that would be me like behind the striker.
Yeah.
But to be honest, the way he played, that play, the ball didn't even come close to me. You know, that was just wide and cross in for the two big striker to fight for the ball. And to be honest, that's not my style. You probably know that.
yeah, and that you did go on loan there after the trial, but got cut short in January, and you went over to Belgium. You got a senior game there, I believe, but what was that like? It was in the first division in Belgium, but what was that like adapting to a different country again, just within 6 months of adapting to the first one?
Yeah, to be honest, I decided to move at that window because I wasn't playing Wolves and I was very young, you know, like not much experience, and I just want to play, you know. I was sick of just training and not playing games. So I decided to move, and Wolves said, "No, if you want to move, no problem. If you want to stay, no problem also." And I decided to move at that time. You know, I got injury in Belgium, so like in the halfway, so that was a bit hard for me. Like I didn't have much minutes on the pitch. But again, you know, I play with one player that's one of the biggest players. Play for Chelsea. You probably know him, Dembaba.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
cool.
he was there when I was playing. And when I came from England, I remember like today he said, "Look, my dream is to play in the English football, you know." And look, I think everyone knows his story. You know, big name for Chelsea, and I think he's in China now.
Is he? Yeah, he might be. I haven't really kept track of Demba's career. Are you still in touch with Demba?
No, not really. Yeah, once I moved back to Belgium, to be honest, I don't get in touch with anyone in Belgium from there. Yeah.
And you were only there for what, like 4 or 5 months, so not there for too long at all, were you? But
yeah.
After you went back to Brazil, and there was a bit of a period of instability. I feel, just looking over your kind of club history. you're at 9 clubs between 2007 and 2012. That's got to be pretty frustrating, kind of just moving constantly and not really being able to set yourself really into a particular club, just moving all the time.
Yeah, look, that's the culture of Brazil. You know, if you type in a transfer market some players in Brazil, you're more likely gonna find players like that. You know, like moving 1 or 2 clubs a year. I know it's pretty bad. Like when I moved to Australia, I heard some comments that he moved to many clubs in Brazil. How's gonna be here? You know, but sometimes one coach moves to one club, he brings you, he doesn't do well, he gets sacked, and comes another coach, he brings another players, and you are not in the plans anymore. So it's culture of Brazil. It's different from everywhere else in the world. You know, I mean, like if you don't do well 1 or 2 games in Brazil, in the 3rd game they expecting something is gonna happen. You know. So that's why a lot of move in Brazil for the players. I don't feel it's right doing that, but you know, that's the way it is. You know, you can't do much. Sometimes the players are not happy, sometimes the clubs are not happy, and that's it. You know.
And that has to be really stressful, I'm guessing, because you have to impress in your first 2 or 3 games, or else you're gone.
Yeah, that's it. You know, that's a mentality. You're gonna. Every time you move, if you don't do well 1 or 2 games, you sit on the bench. Next time, probably you won't be in the squad. And the next step is just moving again, you know. So you cannot settle down too much, you know. Sometimes you just go, you rent your apartment, your house, whatever, and the next day you're moving again. So it's tough life in Brazil for I would say most of the players. Apart from first division, second division and third, fourth, it's like there. Most of them is changing a bit. I mean, it's the clubs they have more patience right now because they know it's not the right thing to do, but it's still a lot of moves from the players in Brazil.
Yeah, that's really interesting because, like you said, it's not really like that in any other country. But just in 2012, you were in another country again, 12,400 kilometers away from Caxias do Sul, other side of the world.
Yeah,
Melbourne Victory, and that's people probably considered a bit of a weird signing at the time. This guy who was, like you said, going between all these different clubs in Brazil, not the biggest name in the world by any stretch of the imagination. Well, how did the move come about?
Yeah, look, I'll tell you a short story about it. In 2008, one player that played in Adelaide, Fernando, a striker, I played with him here, and he was his last club. After that, he retired. And he got me a contract with Gold Coast at that time. Yeah, so I said, look, okay, I go. No, I spoke with him. I asked a lot of questions about the league, about everything else, and I said, okay, I'll go. And I think that year they closed down, huh?
Yeah, they folded. Yeah.
So to be honest, I didn't know what really happened. He said, look to me, he said, Gui, the contract is off the table, the club doesn't exist anymore, whatever. And that was confusing. I said, okay, one club was there, the contract was on the table, and I was off the table, the club's not there anymore. That was confusing. And I said, okay, fair enough. And then after that, he came to me with the offer from Victory. And I talk a bit, I thought a bit, but I decided to move. I said, look, it's a big move, but I think it's going to be good for me, for my family. And I'm so happy I made that decision at that day.
Yeah, and the A-League, in terms of the kind of global footballing landscape, it's probably a bit hidden away. No one really knows too much about it overseas. So what are your expectations coming into Melbourne Victory in 2012? I don't know if you knew anything about the fans at the time or the rest of the clubs. Gold Coast, of course, not existing. They're not a club anymore. So what were your expectations?
Oh, look, I think when we moved to Australia, my expectation was to stay there for as long as I can. Like to try to do my best to show that my my CV wasn't the way it shows. Like moving clubs around wasn't because of me sometimes. So I remember the first year, someone wrote in the newspaper the weakness, the strength, and the weakness of the club was me because I was moving clubs to clubs every year. So picking up this foreigner, the club, I think was the wrong decision. And I said, look, I think I need to show that they are wrong. So
Yeah.
there was some small stuff that I still remember from day one, and I think I worked pretty hard to do it to show that I was worthwhile to make the decision.
Yeah, and I know in that interview we were talking about before, that you said that your experiences at Wolves, it probably didn't go as well as you planned, but they really helped you in the future for your career. So how did you kind of use those experiences at Wolves and even at Brazil? How did you use those to your advantage, adapting to this new climate, new lifestyle in Melbourne and at Melbourne Victory?
Oh, look, I think moving around it's not great, but you learn a lot of stuff, like language, culture from everywhere. And if you move around Brazil here, you see the culture change in every state. So that's something I try to pick the best thing from any place, any club that I went to. And when I moved to Australia, that wasn't different. So I went there. I had a lot of experience moving around, and I think it helped me when I was there. Even though I didn't know much about the city, the league, or everything else, but I tried to adapt as quick as I could, like to show my football.
I know lots of people have this image of Australia in their head. It's 35 degrees, sunny weather, beaches every day. Was that what you thought Melbourne was going to be like? Because I know the weather's probably pretty disappointing, not great beaches. Were you a bit disappointed by that?
No, really. I just, to be honest, I think I set up very, very quickly in Melbourne. It's a great city. It's not easy to get so many years the best city in the world to live. So that was pretty easy for me to adapt, to be honest. The club, the league, and the players were there. The moment they really helped me to adapt very, very quickly.
Do you know how the club found you? Because coming from, like you said, the CV kind of all around Brazil, like I said before, not the most famous player in the world. How did they come to find you? Did they send scouts out to Brazil or?
No, I think they didn't. Just in these days, you have so many stuff like you can look at it. That's the videos, the game you play. The mistakes you made, the goals you score with left foot, right foot, whatever. So it's very easy to get information about players in these days. I think back then wasn't much difference. And Fernando played the league, so I think he knew a few people back in Australia. They trust him, So that's the way I end up in Victory. And I think he'll try to take me to Australia since back in 2008. So I think it's been not just 1 year working, maybe like for 4 years he was working to get me to Australia.
Yeah, did the club set you up with a nice little place in the city, nice little apartment, or did you kind of have to work that all out for yourself?
Yeah, look, that was something different, Like in Brazil, you go there is one guy that you're gonna set up everything for you, like apartment, car, whatever. And Australia, when I moved, there was everything by me and my wife. We were running around auctions, like to see the apartments, to see the place, and then apply for it, and then see if they choose you. So it's very complicated. Here in Brazil, you go see your apartment. If you like it, that's yours. in Melbourne, it's a fight for everything.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Where did you end up living in your time here?
The first time I was living was in East Melbourne, like
Okay.
very, very close to the stadium, to MCG also.
Yep.
And then I moved to Docklands, and after that I moved to Elsternwick.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good. Nice areas you've got yourself amongst there. And MCG, were you a big fan of AFL in your time? Did you try to work out Aussie rules at all?
To be honest, I didn't know anything about AFL when I moved to Australia. You know, I did watch a few games in the stadium, like to see the atmosphere. It was very different from football. But yeah, I was more like in the rugby stuff than the AFL. To be honest, I used to go to Storm's game when I could. When I was playing in AAMI Park and I had a chance, I always go to watch those games.
Yeah, it's good having this great sporting landscape here in Melbourne. But you got off to an absolute flying start. I think it's fair to say. 8 assists in your first, maybe 11 or 12 games, I think it was, in your first season in the club. Just absolutely smashing it, leading assist in the whole league. But then against Western Sydney, you do your ACL, and that's just got to be so frustrating. You've come all this way, and you're out for 12 months. So how do you deal with that? The frustration. I know you stayed in Australia. The club offered you the chance to go back to Brazil, but you stayed in Australia. So what are the thoughts behind that?
Yeah, look, it comes like a move in your hand, you know. Just I did my ACL in 2010 in Brazil also, and then I did the other one in 2013, first of January. So that was a tough time, you know. That was me and my wife only in Melbourne, and we thought moving back to Brazil to do the surgery and everything in here, but I think the club offered me everything to stay there, to, you know, and the way I was doing in the league, you know, the club really helped me to get through it, everything. And I think after the surgery, I told the physio and the coach and everyone, I said, look, I'll be ready for the game one in the next season. And said, you might be or not. I said, look, I'll be ready for game one. If you want to pick me or not, I don't know, but I'll be ready. And I think the next season, I was the only player that played every single game off the bench. And after that, I was starting the games. And so that was like a very bad news in the 1st of January. And after that, there was just like my head really strong to get back on the pitch as soon as I could and to be ready for the game one. That was my goal from 2nd of January.
Yeah. And you were starting most games on the bench, coming on as a sub at the start of that new season before kind of working your way back into the first team. But one of those games where you came on as a sub, I'm sure you've got some fond memories. I'm going to share a little clip of a particular game with you right now. I want you to talk me through your memories of this game after I show you this clip.
It's a difficult angle to try and pick out a teammate, isn't it? Will Finkler go direct? Looking at his teammate's far post. Finkler drives it. Oh! Gui Finkler! He is a star, this boy! Right into the top corner. A free kick of the highest quality from this Brazilian star. Off the bench, making the most dramatic of impacts again.
And just for some context for people who don't know, that was against Western Sydney, the high-flying Western Sydney at the time. 1-0 down, Melbourne Victory at AAMI Park, 93rd minute, 3 minutes of injury time. And Gui Finkler puts a free kick right in the top left corner. But Gui, what are your memories of it, man?
Yeah, look, that was another game. I came off the bench and, you know, I had if I'm not wrong, I got a free kick, you know, like, and after that, I just felt like I should try, and I was I was happy to score, you know, like there was another movie coming to my head after I scored, you know, like everything I've been through and being on the pitch, scoring some goals, and that was really pleased to to be wearing boots again and then running around. So that was pretty happy days for me.
Yeah, that game and that goal, that's an amazing memory for me personally. I bet for you as well. I remember I was at the game with my dad. I was probably 10 years old, I think, and it was the 93rd minute, last kick of the game. I looked across to my dad and I was a bit pessimistic. I said to my dad, he's going to sky this. There's no way he's scoring. And then 5 seconds later, Gui Finkler, top left corner, back of the net. The crowd goes crazy. It was awesome, mate.
Yeah. That's us. I think that's my famous goal in Australia. It's a very nice goal, and the way it is, last minute home pitch, at AAMI Park, special stadium for me also. So it's very nice. And one thing I do remember was the first game of this season. It was Ange still the coach, and after that he moved to the Socceroos. Our first game was the derby at Etihad Stadium. I don't know if you call that anymore. They changed the name,
it's Marvel Stadium now. Yeah.
Okay. So that was there, and the last sub, that was me. Like I was maybe 7-8 minutes to go, and everyone in the stadium that was stand up and claps like. For me, that was coming back from injury, so that was a memory that is very, very special. I don't know if I touched the ball in that game, but even though that was my goal from 2nd of January, and that was doing that from game one, and that was very special also. I do say thank you for him, because I think I probably know he wouldn't pick me to put in the game, but he knew it was very special for me, and he did that. So I was very thankful for him to doing that. That was really special also.
Can you tell me a bit about Ange as a coach? You had him for about a year and a half, I think, and he's known throughout Australia as one of the greatest Australian sporting coaches ever, and the greatest Australian footballing coach ever. So what was he like for you as a mentor?
Oh, look, I think like I said at the beginning, I learned a lot with him. The way they coach was very, very different. He was very, very serious guy. He never smiled any time on the pitch. So there was a lot of respect about him. The way they coach, his mentality was very, very strong. So that was a coach that I learned a lot, on the pitch, off the pitch, and after that he just showed that he was good, being the Socceroos, coming to Brazil in the World Cup, in that group they play. I think he did very, very well, play some against 3 the biggest clubs in the world, national teams, and he did well. And now he's in biggest club in Japan also. So yeah, like you said, he is one of the greatest in Australia.
Yeah, and I want to skip ahead from the Ange thing, from the topic of Ange Postecoglou, the great man, of course. A concept that's been gone from the A-League for a bit now, the A-League All-Stars game, which I don't know what your memories of are. Your memories of it are, you played against Juventus, some amazing players like Pogba, Pirlo, Buffon, Tevez, Bonucci, Marchisio, all kinds of amazing players in Sydney. That's got to be a massive privilege and honour to go up against those kind of guys, yeah?
Oh yeah, like I said, in Brazil I played some big names also, but that game was very nice also, to be part of, to play with Del Piero also. There was one guy I used to follow when I was a kid, when I was at Juventus, and play with him and against those players, there's no words here to say, the names of the player you just said. It's simple, It's some players that play for national teams. They won the World Cup, so it was a privilege to be involved in that game,
Yeah, it would have been absolutely amazing. I couldn't even fathom that, and none of our listeners could like play against Juventus. Oh, it's just insane. But the season after, following that A-League All-Stars game in 2014, of course, one of the greatest Melbourne Victory teams of all time, if not the greatest Melbourne Victory team of all time, with players like yourself, Mathieu Delpierre, Fahid Ben Kalfala, Bessart Berisha, Costa Barbarousse, I believe, was there that season as well. The whole team was amazing. What are your memories of that season? Because that was just phenomenal to be a supporter in that season.
Yeah, look, like you said, I don't really know the teams before, like player by player, but that season, I reckon, if it's not the greatest, it's one of the greatest teams that Melbourne pick it up. That was some unbelievable players. Like Matthew. Like I think for me it was the best player in the team. Like with Calvaleri. We have some nice players. I think there was just time to get everyone together and just win the league. We wouldn't say that before because we respect everything, but we knew in the change room we have a strong squad. If everyone was in a good day, we knew we could beat anyone in the league. So that was a special year, like winning everything. That was just something really, really special, and that was one of the best team I was involved. So that was really, really special. It's a shame we couldn't keep it up, everyone, and at the same level and win maybe 3 or 4 years in a row. But that was a special season for us.
Yeah, and Victory fans would kill to have just one of those players I mentioned in the team now, because we're really missing that kind of quality. If we had Gui Finkler in his prime on the park, it would be a different story this season. And you were speaking about kind of being the greatest season, of course, and the grand final, that 3-0 win against Sydney FC at AAMI Park, sold out crowd, 30,000 screaming Victory fans there. What was that like, walking out onto the pitch and playing in that atmosphere?
Oh, look, that one, I think I picked up the special game of my career. I remember when we woke out for the warm-up, the stadium was full already. Everyone's cheering us. And look, before we start the game on the pitch, we got together, the 11 player. We said, today there is no way we're gonna lose here, So I think from the first second of the game, we just showed that we were there to win in the game, and the result. To be honest, it didn't make me feel like 3-0. Our team, our mentality at that game was just crazy. We could play whole day, the whole week, we still like beating them every day, So that was a special game, especially playing AAMI Park. I think everyone's happy with that, and especially the crowd, the atmosphere was incredible.
That was incredible, and that's being at that game. It's I just feel so lucky to have been in that game, because the A-League's completely different now. You don't get atmospheres like that, and it was just one of probably the most amazing sporting event atmosphere-wise I've ever been to. Was it the best atmosphere you've ever played in? Did anything in Brazil top that or come close to it even?
Yeah, look, it comes really close. Like with some games I play here, but. The way AAMI Park is, the way it's set up with the balls around, it keeps you the noise inside the pitch. So it's very special play there, and being that game with full stadium was really, really special. And winning the trophy also, so it makes everything special.
Yeah. Just I think if there's a word that sums up your Victory career, it's special, really. And I guess all good things come to an end, and that special Victory career, the season after that was your final one, and there were some rumours flying around about the reasons behind you leaving the club. I want to get the truth behind it from the man himself. Why did you leave the club after all those amazing seasons?
Yeah, look, there was a lot of rumor that I was leaving. And to be honest, at that time, there was the rumor. I had nothing like from Victory or from any other club in Australia, you know. So there was, and then those rumors just made the opinions of a lot of people, you know. I remember I played one game at AAMI Park, and that was maybe our last chance to win the game. I got a shot from outside the box, and I missed the goal. And a lot of people will say, "Oh, he doesn't want to score anymore." I say, "How am I a player? I don't want to score a goal." Like for the team that I played for maybe for 3.5 years. So that was something it really make me sad, you know, like everything I did for the club, for everyone. And some people saying that, but and then after that, Victory didn't offer me like to stay anymore, and came this offer from Wellington. And I said, look, I want to continue playing the A League. I like the A League, and so we decided to move. But I had nothing with the club, nothing with the supporters, nothing. Just the offer came to me. Victory didn't offer me to stay, and then I moved. You know, simple as that.
You weren't at Wellington too long, but did you enjoy your time there? But it probably didn't compare to Victory in terms of atmospheres and the quality of the team. They weren't one of the best teams in the league, but how did you enjoy your time there?
Yeah, look, I think Wellington wasn't the greatest for me as a footballer. We had the earthquake like big when I was there. My wife was pregnant at that time, so she moved back to Brazil. I was by myself, you know. I was like a very tumbling season. Yeah. Can I use that word? No. Like up and down in the season, like play some good games, you know.
Topsy-turvy kind of, yeah.
Yeah. So that wasn't the greatest for me, you know. So and then came up another coach from, I don't know where is he from, and he came with a mentality. He was coaching Europe, you know, and he was coaching in the A League. So then me and him didn't settle pretty good at that time. And then once he had a chance to sack me, he did. I wasn't happy. He wasn't happy. So me and the club said, okay, we're not happy between us. I think it's time to move. So then I came back to Brazil at that time.
That must be pretty disappointing to end on a bit of a sour note. Your time in the A League, it was a bit of a controversial ending. If people remember your last game, and that's got to be pretty disappointing for you. Looking back, I don't know if you have any regrets about it.
Obviously, I do. You know, just I didn't want to leave the league like I did, but you know what I did at Victory, no one is gonna raise. You know what I did. Everyone knows the way I am on and off the pitch. So at Victory, so what I did wasn't myself. Was the coach making me doing that? So, and I think one month later he was gone also. So that was something I should have stayed a little bit longer, because I knew he's gonna go the way he did wasn't the greatest. But yeah, look, wasn't the way I want to leave the league. But like I said, what I did at Victory, it's there forever.
Yeah. Did you know that was going to be your last club and your last season in the league, or did you expect other clubs to come in for you at all?
Oh, look, at that time, my mentality was to come back to Brazil. You know, I was 5.5 years. I was away from home. And then Juventude here, my hometown, offered me a contract at that main time. So I said, look, I think it's time to go back, stay at home for a bit. And maybe after that I'll come back or not. So, yeah, everything happens at the same time. You know, I was leaving the club. The president of the club knew me here that I was leaving. So he talked to me. I said, look, I think it's really time to go back now. I had a baby, so that was another thing wasn't easy for us. And so that's everything happens at the same time.
Yeah, and you stayed in football, and it sounds like you've got a pretty good life for yourself at the moment. I can hear your kids in the background there. You're still kind of. I think you're a mentor for young players in Brazil. That's what you do for a living now, is it?
Yeah, look, I think I do try to help the young kids, and I'm getting involved more and more with football. I try to get away for a bit, but just football just chasing me, So yeah, I'm kind of like try to get the young kids, like to help them with the decisions made in their career about clubs, transfer. Try to help. I know a lot of people around the world, to get contact with clubs. So I'm kind of agent in what I'd say in a different way.
Yeah.
I'm not there just to find club, but I'm there to help them to make decisions off the pitch. Either clubs, city, money, everything. So I've been through there. I made some good decisions in my life. I made some bad decisions. So I pretty much I learn from that, and that's something I'm trying to. The football gave to me, I'm trying to give back to the football. So that's something I'm starting, and that's one time when this pandemic stuff finish, I want to go back to Melbourne to find those kids, like to help them.
Yeah, and like I said at the start, you're very much welcome here in Melbourne. All the Melbourne Victory fans love you, and maybe you could even play a futsal game for us like you did back in the day in Brazil, because that would be pretty amazing. And a question that we always ask on this show when we're coming close to the end is if our guest has a life philosophy. So, Guy, have you got a life philosophy, any quotes or sayings that you kind of let guide your decisions in life?
I don't know. I just I try to live as good as I can. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna answer your question, but you let me know after. When I was at Victory, I had a chance to go to China, and I didn't go because the lifestyle that I had in Melbourne was something I was wishing for. So I have mentality to live the best you can. I don't think about tomorrow. I live good. Obviously, you think about tomorrow or the day after now, especially with kids, but try to have like the best day today and then see what happened tomorrow. It's something I took from football. When you go to training, you go and leave everything there, because tomorrow is another day. So that's something I always made my decision. When I went to Melbourne, I had 1 year and a half more contract with the club here, and I asked them to leave. So the club bought for me from another club, and they say, look, we paid you. We paid the club for you. I said, look, I'm not happy anymore. I wanna go somewhere else. And the president was pretty unhappy with me, but at the end, I made the best decision that I could.
Yeah, and I think that's rejecting that move to China is something that probably most people think that not many players do. So it's good to hear that you're kind of living in the moment, like you said, and living your best life and kind of doing things for the enjoyment. So it's pretty kind of inspirational, motivational for listeners to take on board.
Yeah, look, the money perspective also when I moved to Australia wasn't the way I want to. I was in Brazil, like I normally I don't like to talk about money, but like for you understand my decision, like I had a 1.5 year more contract in Brazil, and then I got offer from Australia. the salary was lower than here, and I decided to move. So that was decision that I used to make to have a better life at the moment.
Yeah, that's. Well, I think we probably count ourselves lucky, the Melbourne Victory fans, that you came here and took the lower salary to become a legend for Melbourne Victory. But before we wrap up, there's something that we always do at the end of the show. Usually my co-host Lockie will participate in this as well, but it's just us two. I'm going to give you a little quiz. We're going to test your memory of Melbourne Victory. So I've got 5 questions for you.
Okay.
I think it sounded before like you kind of keep tabs on the A-League. You sound like, I reckon you might get a few of these. So I'll start with question 1, the first question out of 5. So in the 2014-15 grand final, of course, Melbourne Victory won 3-0, like we spoke about before, against Sydney. Who were the 3 goal scorers for Melbourne Victory?
Berisha, Costa, and Broxton.
Spot on. Too easy, that one. Start off with an easy one. We'll go to question 2. So, at the moment, it's April 4th, 2021. Who has played the most Melbourne Victory games, and how many have they played?
I think Broxton.
Broxton's right. How many do you reckon Lee has played for the Victory?
To be honest, I have no idea. I'm gonna try here. Maybe 300 and something.
Pretty close. 345. There you go.
Okay, yeah.
Well done.
Wasn't that far? Yeah, I knew he was the top, but I couldn't remember the name, the numbers.
Yeah, well, I don't think many people would. So you've done pretty well there. Question 3. Bit of Melbourne Victory history here. So, of course, Melbourne Victory have won 4 championships, 4 grand finals. In what years did those grand final wins come?
Oh, no. Well, 14, 15.
Yep, of course.
17, 18.
Yep, that's 2.
8, 9.
8, 9, correct as well. And there's one more.
4, 5.
4, 5. I don't think the A-League existed then. It was 2006, 2007. But 3 out of 4. That's pretty good.
Okay.
I'll give you a point for that. So you won 3 points. 3 points. You're killing it. Got all of them right so far. 3 points out of 3. So moving to question 4. As I said before, as of April the 4th, 2021, where are Melbourne Victory and your other former A-League team, the Wellington Phoenix, placed on the ladder right now?
Oh, Victory is pretty easy, to be honest. The bottom of the table.
Yeah, no good.
And Wellington is 6.
Wellington's a bit lower than that, actually. Wellington's 10th. So 10th. Not doing too well either, the Phoenix. They're 7 points off 6th place, so still a chance. But Victory, probably not. I think we can count ourselves out of finals contention. Yeah, not great. Move on to question 5. So this is one a bit off Victory, but we'll just test your kind of memory of Melbourne culture. We spoke a bit about AFL before. You were at Melbourne Victory between 2012 and 2016. Can you name one of the teams who won the premiership, the grand final in the AFL in those years?
Awesome.
Hawthorn. Spot on. Very nice. Well done. That's good from you, Guy. And the other 2 is Sydney and the Western Bulldogs.
Yeah, Sydney. I would say Sydney also. The Western Bulldogs, I didn't remember it.
Yeah, there you go. Did you have an AFL team that you kind of supported a little bit? When
we actually did a promo with Houghton that year. That's why I remember I got a top from them. So they were in pretty good form. So that's why I remember.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, they won 3 in a row in that time. But that's it for the quiz. It's a bit of a weird one because we haven't got Lockie. Usually I'll put the guest up against Lockie. But anyway, we'll let that go. But move on to our last thing. We spoke about before the show about the chosen charity. This is the thing that we have with every guest. We get a guest to nominate a charity and encourage listeners to donate, kind of raise any funds we can just to help out. So what's your charity, Gay?
Yeah, look, I think that one we spoke about it. Like it's Easter time for the appeal of. Can you help me with that? The name?
Oh, Good Friday appeal.
Good Friday appeal. Yeah. So I think it's time for that. Everyone could help. It's any help. It's very welcome for those kids.
Yeah. So check him out. Good Friday appeal. As we said, I'll talk a bit about how to donate to them in the outro of the show just after this. But I think that just about wraps us up, Guy. We've gotten about a bit more than an hour out of you, so I'm very happy with that. Thanks very much for coming on, mate. It's been a delight having you on the show today. Thanks very much.
No, thank you for doing this also. Just like I said, it's always a pleasure to talk about football, my time in Australia, Victory especially. And hopefully one day I'll be back in Melbourne, and now we can do this interview at AAMI Park.
Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, Guy. Really appreciate you coming on the show. It's a pleasure, really, a delight even having you on the show. Couldn't have asked for anything better, but I'm sitting here on this Thursday night after Essendon have just lost to Sydney in a close one in Sydney again. I could be saying this at any time, really. Who knows when I'm speaking? Could be 2019, could be 2017, could be 2015, 1996 even. It's a bit of a recurring nightmare for us Bomber fans. It's not great, but I probably should stop feeling sorry for myself. I won't let the tears kind of distort my outro performance. So I've got to tell you about our traditional outro thing, the charity of the week. Of course, you heard what charity Guy nominated. Of course, the Good Friday appeal. So we recorded this on Easter Sunday, actually, and he was speaking to me about what charity he should nominate. He asked me because he's been living in Brazil for the last 4 years, most of his life, so doesn't know too many of the Australian charities. He wanted something that helped out kids and was Australian, and Easter time and Melbourne-based charity. Of course, he's got deep connections to Melbourne. I couldn't have thought of anything better, I don't think, than the Good Friday appeal. So that's what Guy's chosen to nominate. And I'll tell you a little bit about the Good Friday appeal. You probably know a lot about them already. They're a kind of famous old charity. They've raised a lot of money for the best possible care for patients at the Royal Children's Hospital in Melbourne. $381 million, in fact, according to my sources, since 1931. And they help all kinds of things. Your donations, that research and technology equipment, and kind of like patient family-centered care programs, even training the staff, which is something that's pretty underrated and costs quite a bit of money. That helps out with that too. And you can check out the Good Friday appeal at goodfridayappeal.com.au. Even though they've raised $381 million in the last 90 years, every dollar you donate counts. So I would really appreciate if you could donate. Guy would really appreciate if you could donate. The Good Friday appeal would really appreciate if you could donate. And all the people it helps would really appreciate if you could donate to the Good Friday appeal at goodfridayappeal.com.au. There's a big purple button in the top right, I'm looking at it right now, saying donate. So please, whether it's 5 cents, $5, $500, please donate all you can. I know it's a tough time financially for lots of people, but it really would mean the world. And that just about wraps us up. Not much else to say, really, other than, of course, give us a shout out to all your mates. That would be really appreciated if you liked the show, which I trust that you did if you're still listening now for all my waffle. And, of course, give us a 5-star review where you can. Give us a big shout out and give us feedback on all our socials at WDWB Pod. It's WDWB Pod on Instagram, Twitter, and Where Did We Begin on Facebook. I think I'll leave it there. We've got another big guest next week. It's another footballer, soccer player again. Maybe even better than this week. I don't know. It's pretty close, but right up there with our best guests. So I'm looking forward to having you guys listen. Next week will be really good. Next Monday, I'll see you then. Thanks very much for listening.